Unfortunately, I have had personal experience dealing with fires and floods. About 30 years ago, I had a home with a detached garage, and a car in the detached garage caught fire to the hot water heater in the detached garage, and the inside of the garage was badly damaged by a small fire. And so that was one of my first introductions to dealing with recovery from a fire. That went fairly smoothly. It wasn't a large loss. But subsequently, I have at my rental house had a sewer backup, which is the worst kind of flood. Flooding is really bad. A sewer backup, which is a mini flood, but it's of the very worst kind of water or debris. And so I went through that experience. More recently, or shortly after I had the sewer backup, my rental house in Alexandria, Virginia, was flooded by a hurricane that was kind of a freak event. Hurricanes normally go in the Atlantic, go up the eastern seaboard. This hurricane caught the hook and went up the Chesapeake Bay and up the Potomac River into Washington, D.C. And Alexandria, where my house sat, was right near the Potomac River, which made for a lovely running trail, but also meant that when the water surge from the hurricane caught the famous turning basin where the cherry blossoms are and the famous Jefferson Memorial, well, that also is a dead end. So the surge of water went up the river, crashed into the dead end, and then came back. So my house actually flooded from the north, not from the south. The water, surged around different flat spots, and this includes Washington National Airport, sits in the same area. And so it was quite a scene. I was not living there. I was living in a different area. And a friend of mine called me and said, "Dave, turn on the national news. Your house is on television." And sure enough, there was a boat in my front yard.
Wow.
And that's how I found out. So it took out, similar to the Harvey floods that we've had here exactly a year ago, the whole first floor, both the house and the two-story house, two-story garage structure, and took out the entire first floor, both structures. The bonus is up north we have basements, so the basement, of course, was completely full of water. I learned a lot about that. The fire department went around the neighborhood and pumped out people's basements to help out, to get the water out more quickly. The basement refilled almost immediately, and the fire department kindly came out and pumped it out a second time. But throwing away virtually everything I had stored in the basement or the first floor of the house, I had the really clean basement. Let me just say that. I mean, Washington pumped out twice. Unfortunately, I dealt with the largest disaster in my personal life, and all I can say is thank God no one was injured. There were no pets, no people. But I have one of the historic houses on Heights Boulevard, and we use it as both a residence and for professional office space. And 2 years ago, we had a major two-alarm fire early in the morning. Again, no one was there and no one was hurt, but it did in excess of $700,000 of damage to the historic house and to the contents and so forth. So having come out of these rather brutal experiences, and a lot of times I look at this and I say, look, I'm an attorney, I'm a business professor, and it's been awfully difficult for me. How about people who go to work 9 to 5 every day and don't have that type of background? How do you deal better with this?